Hi ladies, welcome back to the Beauty and Authenticity. I help women in search of self-development, wisdom, and who have a desire to find their purpose, see that their purpose lies in a relationship with God. And that all of the new agey practices that attempt to give you some sort of peace or purpose are very temporary and don't last very long, and it ends up having you either resorting to what you are used to doing, or getting on to the newest practice that everybody's doing. All right, so last week we talked about getting rid of our old life and creating a new one. So you've taken inventory of all of your bad habits and you've replaced them with good ones by making a list of each and creating a plan to really tackle those new good habits. So you're on a good path. This is 2024. The year just got started, and now you have an idea of where you're going. All right, with that being said, though, let's level up in wisdom as women. There are so many areas in your life that you can really level up in wisdom, that you can get wiser. All right, so I'm actually starting a series for the year. It's going to be called Woman of Wisdom. So the first topic in the Woman of Wisdom will be about discernment. And we'll actually cover 3 areas of discernment in this mini series. It'll actually be discernment in friendships, discernment in dating, and discernment in spirituality and faith. In this video, we're going to focus on discernment in friendships, and then the discernment in dating and in spirituality and faith will be in 2 consecutive videos. All right, so let's get started. So what exactly is discernment? So according to Google, in a Google dictionary, discernment is the ability to judge well. My discernment was lacking, okay? It was malnourished. It needed some milk. And I don't want y'all to make the same mistakes I've made. Let's get started on leveling up your discernment in friendships. All right, so a lot of us girls tend to choose friends based on just something temporary that we have in common with each other. Don't really vet the person out before we get close to them. And I know for me, growing up, my friendship story, I feel like it's different from a lot of people, but then I feel like there's a niche of people who can truly relate. So I grew up very sheltered as a kid. I just went to church and I went to school. I didn't really do anything else social. I didn't hang out with friends and stuff like that, really. I didn't get a friend at church until I was about 9 years old. And the only reason I was able to even come in contact with her was because of church. We went to the same church and we celebrated our birthdays together. And that's how we ended up being friends. So I had a friend really from ages 9 to maybe 12. And we stayed cool in my college years a little bit after that, but we didn't really get close, and so that was a friend that I had. But other than that, I didn't start hanging out with girls and having friends for real until I was about 16, when I was in high school. So I was real shy. I was very awkward. I couldn't look at people in the eyes. It was just a thing, okay? The anxiety was terrible. I would be dripping sweat. I'm talking nervous beyond belief, okay? There was these twins. They were new to the school this year. I think we were both new to the school that year, but I think they started a couple months after I did. I can't remember the details right now, because it was I met them 15 years ago. This was a long time ago now. Wow, I'm getting old. But anyway, so I met them 15 years ago, so I don't remember that part. So they, one twin was more outgoing and more aggressive. The other twin, she was more funny, laid back, and just chill. She was a vibe. Everybody liked her. She was really cool. They befriended me Like, I'm just quiet and they just chose me as a friend. I think they gave me a ride home. I can't remember how we initiated the friendship, but I know I didn't initiate it, because I didn't initiate really any of my friendships. I don't think I've actually ever truly chosen a friend, to be honest. I think people have always chose me as a friend. And so yeah, I became their buddy, their tag along. The girl who was like the meaner one is the one who chose me as a friend. But interestingly enough, she was the one who wanted to befriend me, but she was mean to me. The other twin, who didn't even seek me out, was nicer, and I liked being around her. But the other girl called me best friend. And I'm like, best friend, but you're mean to me. You say rude things. That's so weird. But okay. See, I was seeking validation. So then I went to college. And then that kind of allowed me to like keep space between us. I had already broken off the friendship. I broke off the friendship the like last semester of high school. And then when I went to college, it was cool. It was officially broken off. So, but then I went to college, and then I was like, alone for a couple months then, and trying to see if I can get friends, but didn't know how to make friends. And so this girl befriended me, and she had already had like a group of friends there, and so they all just took me in. And they were nice, but it was the weirdest dynamic. Like, I thought they were so cool and so nice, but then when it came to me, I just could not fit in with them. I was so confused in that friendship. And they also used to make fun of me, leave me out of things, just all kinds of stuff. And I reacted in anger. I'll just put it that way. And so after college, I just kind of stopped hanging out with them. So yeah, I had met a girl when I was working at the pharmacy. And, I was quiet there. I had only been there a little while, but I was quiet everywhere I went, okay? Quiet. Just shy and quiet. So she just starts talking to me, and I'm like, okay. And she was kind of funny, but she was like, she just said whatever she wanted. It was kind of vulgar and rude. And I still befriended this girl, okay? Oh my God. Well, she befriended me and I accepted. And she started calling me her best friend. You see where I'm going with this? I had 3 instances in my life where someone came to me and befriended me, and I accepted it, and they called me their best friend, but they didn't act like a best friend, and they bullied me or were mean to me or rude to me. Since then, I haven't had a close female friend. I would just be cool with people. Because I realized that I never really learned how to go about getting friends. And so I started getting an understanding the last couple years of how to do that. I've befriended some people the last couple years, but they haven't been long-term friendships. Things, they just didn't work out for friendship, deep, close connection. And I am finding that it's harder to find friends now, but I realize that that's also because I've started to develop discernment and realizing that, you don't just become friends with people because they want to be your friend. Like, that's not enough. That's not enough. We need to develop discernment when being friends, and I'm hoping that elements of my story will help you see that it's not okay to just let somebody latch on to you and say, hey, we're best friends. This is not elementary school, so no, we're not. So the reason I wanted to do this video is because I've seen online, like on TikTok a lot, where women are like being friends with their enemy and not realizing that the girl is their enemy. Women are being friends with people, or are trying to make a deeper friendship with someone who doesn't want that with them. And that you're holding on to friendships that you simply, and connections that you just simply have grown out of. So let's start with how to tell that a woman that you're friends with is really your enemy. I've had so many instances of this happening in my life, and I didn't realize it because I just wanted a friend. I just wanted to be validated. I have standards now, but I didn't have any. I didn't have no standard. The standard was accepting me. That was the standard, okay? Now, did I go out thinking that that was my standard? No. But the fact that I had no standards means that anybody can come into my life, and I had no boundaries, and I had no discernment at all. You need to be able to discern what people's intentions are in your life. That doesn't mean you go run and hide from every person that you could tell, oh, but you know, you need to like be able to discern, is this a good friend for me? Is this a best friend for me? Or is this just someone I talk to in passing? You need to know these things. You need to be able to develop the discernment. So how do you tell if a girl that you're befriending is an enemy? Well, first things first, they like to move fast. They like to overly compliment you at first. Like everything about you is awesome or great, and not all of them do this. Some of them don't give you no compliments, but they either have a severe lack of compliments or they do it overly, like they're too into you, and then they want to move the friendship along very fast. So everybody's heard about narcissism by now. I'm not going to go deep into narcissism in this video, but I do know a lot about it. But basically some of the stuff I'm describing is like how people describe the narcissistic lover, right? They either overly compliment you in the beginning, or they don't do it enough, and they like move the relationship along fast, right? So the female friend, she'll move the friendship along fast. She'll want to hang out with you all the time. She'll want to like talk to you all the time. She wants you to spend all your free time with her. But then her free time, no, like you might have a hard time getting a hold of her when you need her, but when she needs you, you need to be available at all times, honey. She will isolate you from her other group of friends. So like she'll talk to you about her other friends and she'll complain about them. She'll complain about her other friends to you, and then she never actually brings you together with the other friends. So this is a dynamic that is not always popular. This is like more of a narcissistic dynamic, but from my own personal experience, this is what was done. And then I'd be like, okay, why is she always talking about these girls? This is interesting. And I had nothing negative to say about them because I do not do that. And like, but I didn't talk bad about whoever she talked bad about to me. I didn't set a boundary though. I didn't say, I don't want to talk about your other friends. I don't know her to even listen to anything negative. That's something I would do now. I didn't do that then. I would just be quiet. Or I would just be like, oh yeah, that sucks or whatever. But that was about it. And, you know, then she would also paint her boyfriend to be terrible to me. Stuff like that. They kind of need to look like the victim. So you got to assume she must have talked bad about me to her other friends. And I remember one time we had like a fallout in which she was just being really mean on this girls trip that she planned. Got us all hyped up to go, and then didn't want to do anything when we got there, and we all went to Miami. She planned it, and then at first she was saying, for a second she said she wasn't gonna go. She was being really mean on the trip. So we had gotten to a disagreement, and I'm really putting that lightly, I'll say that. And she had started talking really bad about me to the other girls. She would say one thing about me to my face, and then she flipped it into something negative around those other girls. So they do stuff like that. So she turned out not to be my real friend, and I still befriended her after that. Okay, Jesus Christ, like, get some standards. Like, don't let anybody do that to you. Have some standards. So that's just an example of a girl being your friend that's really an enemy to you. And one thing I want to point out about this is, when you're online and you're looking for help understanding your experiences and the things you've been through, you don't use them to build up resentment against the people or the type of people you were hurt by. So you're watching this video, you're trying to level up your discernment in friendships because maybe you've been hurt in friendships. So I don't want you to go around and be hyper vigilant about female friends and have your guard super high and you don't trust anybody and everybody's a suspect and you didn't discern her out. Because see, I went through a phase of, and this is with friendships and befriending people and men too, I went through a phase of everybody's a suspect, and my discernment is high now because now I'm hip and now I know the game and can't nobody get it over on me. Oh, they did that, see, I knew it, and now they can't be trusted and I'll mess with them. I went through this phase. That's why it's been a long time since I've had another friend, and it's been a long time since I've dated anybody too, which honestly I'm not mad about that part. Thank you, Jesus. But you get what I'm saying. Like, there was a phase of me going through, I was hyper vigilant, could nobody be trusted. You got to be very careful of that, because that is a trick of the enemy. You cannot condemn anybody. You're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself. You're supposed to love your enemies. God doesn't give you discernment for you to box yourself in and protect yourself from the outside world. That's not what it's for. It's so that you can know where to place them in your life. God doesn't give you discernment and allow you to live these experiences that you have so that you can learn from them and you can point out the characteristics in that type of person in the future, just for you to be hiding and lurking behind every corner, scared to come out because you're scared it's going to happen again. Well, the point of discernment is to give you the bravery to step out there again, but to be keen and to be aware of the types of people that are out there. And when you notice them, you smile, you nod, and you keep it going. You know, you don't want to have a hardened heart. You don't want to be afraid of getting friends again. And trust me, there is a way to connect with women again and be able to use the discernment that God gave you from the bad experiences you've had and still not be scared and judging everybody and misjudging everything because you're trying to get confirmation that everybody has bad intentions with you. Confirmation bias is a real thing. And if you're looking for women to have bad intentions with you, then you will perceive any little hiccup or any little inconvenience or weird or awkward situation as a woman having a bad intention with you. So you do have to make sure that your heart is not hardened and you're not in a place of fear. Just because you learned the part of the lesson that teaches you the red flags in people, you haven't learned the whole lesson. Like, you still need to understand everybody has a flaw, and you still need to understand that if you're looking for people to have bad intentions, if you look and you think that there's no good people out here, then that's all you're gonna see. And I used to hear that all the time, but I was like, oh, whatever, because they do suck. You know, people suck, you know, and I was so wrong. Okay, so then let's talk about being able to discern when other women are just not interested in a friendship with you. Sometimes when you want to have a friend, when you want to connect to somebody, you put too much hope into it without really considering that they might not really click with you that well. And I've experienced that, or being rejected by people that I wanted to be friends with. And honestly, a lot of times your rejection is your protection or redirection. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt to be rejected. It can, but you feel your feelings, but you don't make your feelings be the truth. You don't give your feelings too much power, because just because something hurts doesn't mean you have to, whatever pain it caused, it doesn't have to last. Like if you feel rejected, like you wanted to be friends with a girl, but she wasn't that interested. So then you feel bad about yourself for a second. Oh, well, it must be the way I do this or do that. You need to reject those thoughts. You need to cast down imaginations and everything, every high thing that exalts itself over the knowledge of God. I'm gonna put that scripture on the screen because I recently started saying that every time I think something negative about myself that's not true, that is an imagination, that is a high thing. Every time you get negative thoughts about yourself, you need to cast them down. What I used to do when I was rejected by somebody I wanted to be friend, I would try to win them over. Yeah, ridiculous. If somebody doesn't want to be your friend, that's their choice. You cannot win them over. They don't like what they see. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that there's even anything wrong with you. I mean, there could be traits about you that are negative and this person doesn't want to deal with them. Or they could just literally be like, no, I'm good. They could be going through something in their life. It could be anything. Don't try to win people over. It's a sign of lack of self-respect, confidence, self-worth. If you do have a lack of self-respect, self-worth, and confidence, then that's something that hopefully you are working on improving. Hopefully that charges you to want to fix it, to work on it. You need to have the discernment to be able to tell they don't want to be friends with you. So a way you could tell is they might straight up avoid talking to you, ignore you. Yeah, walk right past, act like they didn't see you. That's a good way to tell that they don't want to be friends. Or you make plans with them and then they don't follow through. They don't contact you at all. They say, hey, yeah, we should hang out. Oh yeah, we should do this, we should do that. And then when it comes time to hang out, they don't do it. And it doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong. They might not have time for it, a friendship. But the point is that it's not time, so fall back. Another sign that you're trying to be friends with someone and they don't really want to be friends with you, they'll talk to you for a second, but then ultimately, you know, you can tell they don't really want to hang out. Like some people, they're good at having a conversation with somebody, but that doesn't really mean that they want friendship for real. Still be nice to them when you see them, still have casual conversations. Keep it the same way it was, but just the only thing that's changed is your understanding of the situation. Like, you're like, okay, I understand now. You don't want that. We're just friendly with each other, and it's nice and it's cool. Like, you don't let it harden your heart. You don't get rejected. You don't get mean and feel mad. You don't avoid them. You don't do stuff like that. No. And trust me, I've struggled with all of these things. Next, here are some ways to develop maybe discernment that a friendship or a connection needs to end. Maybe you're growing apart. So maybe y'all don't like the same things anymore. She likes to go to the club 3-4 nights a week. You don't like to go to the club no more. You started going to church. Her whole life is based around men and dating a man, getting a man's attention, and you're starting to watch self-development videos and you're starting to read books on how to be a better communicator and how to get along with your family, anything to better yourself. You're starting to go to a therapist, you're starting to do things that you like, and your life is not based upon and surrounded by getting chosen and accepted by a man, but hers is. You broke off your toxic relationship, and she's still in hers, and she still is telling you all about, what Tyrone did, and you've passed that, and she goes back to Tyrone. So it's kind of getting old and draining for you. What once was like your girl is now is like, it's kind of feeling like one-sided, because you no longer are getting what you need out of the connection, because you realize you need more once you start to grow out of being filled up from toxicity and numbing yourself with going out all the time and doing all of those things. Once you start getting tired of that and realizing what you really need is to like reflect and look within, then the person that you were getting that feel from, that fix from, is no longer, it does no longer serve you to be that way. You realize that you guys are only friends because of your toxic views or your self-numbing techniques and practices. And once you start evolving beyond that, now you guys don't really see the point in, you don't really see the point in the friendship anymore. You no longer want to talk about how somebody's doing you wrong. You want to more so focus on, well, what am I doing in my life to allow such a person to stay? Why do I want them in my life so bad? And so therefore, you guys no longer have anything in common. Your belief systems are changing and theirs is staying the same. The reason those things qualify as discernment is because you're leveling up your ability to judge the type of friend that you don't want, or the type of friend that really doesn't like you that well. Realizing that somebody isn't interested in a friendship would qualify as discerning, is being able to discern whether a connection is a friendship connection or not, is because you will be able to look at yourself to see why you're going out looking for friends when you're connecting with women, instead of going out just looking to connect with people in the moment and have a good time, maybe be able to be a blessing to somebody else with your words. And if it builds beyond that, then so be it, but it needs to be organic. Because if you're out looking desperately for friendship, then you will attach yourself to anyone who has a good conversation. Being able to judge and discern whether or not a connection is good for you anymore is especially applicable to judging yourself, because like I said, if you start to change as a person and realize that the way you were maybe wasn't the healthiest, and the more closer you get to being your best self, the less you see in common with this person. So how do we even discern who to choose as our friend in the first place? Okay, so I will say I just casually talk to people right now. So I'm literally teaching myself as I go. But if you are in the same boat and you want some tips, I still got them. For one, start reading books on friendship or socialization. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And so that has been helping me practice putting myself out there and talking to people. One of the things you should focus on when hanging out with new girls is just to have fun at the time. It shouldn't be about, oh, I wonder, are we gonna be friends? I think she's so cool. It should just be casual, and and you don't have to be weird and hold back too much, but don't tell all your business. So one important aspect is to have small talk conversations. I used to hate small talk because I'm more introverted. One of my goals of this year is to to be introverted how I am, but to be socially extroverted, meaning I can talk to anybody about anything and without feeling awkward. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to just start talking to people and get them to talking to me. So, you know, have small talk with people, because that's a good way to gauge if they're interested in you, interested in your friendship, what kind of mindset they have. Make sure when you're first talking to somebody that you talk about them. You ask them about them. People love to talk about themselves. When they tell me something, I'll just pick something out of the conversation, what they told me, to start asking them another question. Really just take the time to talk to people and get to know them. Don't give up so much information about yourself to strangers. Even if you're proud of what you've been through, you love to share it with the people you're meant to share it with, be it friends you can trust. You have to realize you don't possess anyone. You experience people. You don't even ever truly know anyone. You experience them. The only person that knows someone is them and God. God knows us the best, because we lie to ourselves about who we are half the time, right? The only other person or being that could perceive that truly is God. No one else. And so people can only experience you. They can only experience how you act based on what phase you are in your life. But they cannot know you truly. You and God are the only ones. If you look at things from that perspective, then you will come to realize that yes, you attach yourselves to people and you love people, but you understand that things change in life. The person, for instance, the person who you realize you've grown apart from, you could have thought that was your girl for life. You would have never let them go. And then y'all started being two different people, and you was like, oh, I can't rock with her no more. Then y'all end your friendship, and next thing you know, it's been 10, 15 years since you talked to her, and you have a whole different life and a whole different group of friends. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Come back next Sunday. We're going to be talking about discernment in dating relationships. Yeah. Bye-bye.